So, seen any good moves lately? Welcome back to episode number 5 of the Survivor 49 Seen Any Good Moves Lately podcast, where today I am thrilled to be joined by the amazing, the awesome, the Addie. How are you doing, Addie?
I'm doing well, Joey. How are you?
I'm doing, pretty good because we're here. We're about to talk about Survivor 49, a season of Survivor. Undoubtedly, you can't argue that. Um,
Just as interesting and exciting as that season you got going on behind you.
yes, just as good as Survivor Kagayan. Everybody agrees on this. Just universally acclaimed so far. But I mean, despite that acclaim, we too don't speak for everybody. So I have to ask you, Addie, how do you feel about Survivor 49 so far?
So I'm of the opinion that any survivor is survivor, therefore it's good.
Yes.
So I'm like enjoying it because I enjoy Survivor,
Hmm.
but I so far, um, it hasn't like strategically been the most interesting. I think that there've been a lot of really interesting and fun character moments
Yeah.
and a lot of build up to potentially interesting things. Um, but then also like, but it also just like hasn't been too much going on with this particular with the way things have played out with like the same tribe losing a lot and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I feel pretty similarly. To me, I think the strength of the season has been the characters, specifically like five of them. I feel like I know five, maybe six people really well, and then the rest I'm like, I don't know. But I mean, those five people I know, it's like, yeah, they're good characters. There's good characterization there. It's look, people have said that it's a slow start. I don't necessarily disagree. I'm waiting for it to turn, but I'll say this much: like in terms of pre-merge Survivor, I'm kind of enjoying it a little more than most seasons in its own way because more stuff has happened. We had a tribe go down to two. We had a guy get bitten by a snake owl. And several other things. A tribe swap, a tribe swap. That's cool. We love a tribe swap.
Yes, I would much rather have an interesting a building pre-merge that leads to
Yeah.
an interesting merge than a pre-merge that was like wham bam yes ma'am and then a post-merge that's just kind of like
Sure.
and we're here, which I think is what we got in 48. Like 48, the pre-merge, every episode was kind of like a banger.
Yeah.
Something exciting, crazy was happening, and then you get the post-merge and it was a little bit slower. Where I think this season, I'm hoping it's the opposite, where we've had a little bit of a slow. We still have had things happen, but like I said, just not all of it has been the most interesting.
Yeah. I've kind of gone about this season with the context of like I didn't really pay attention to the pregame press for this season or anything. I kind of tried to avoid it even. But I saw Jeff Probst in his little like, oh, you gotta watch this season, like thing that he does say that this was a very unpredictable season. And it's interesting that he said that because so far I would say, hey, other than getting bitten by a snake, I don't really see it, man. I don't know. Uh
I could have called every vote that's happened
yeah,
except for the medevac.
yeah. So I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but that makes me cautiously optimistic for the rest of the season, unless what he really meant by that is like this season sucks and I just have to tell you something. But I have a little more faith in Jeff Probst than that. So there you
Yeah,
go.
and like there's an aspect of that where Jeff is going to hype up the season that is airing, but also he's not going to like overly sell something that like he's not going to promise great things to come to a certain extent.
Well, he kind of does. Is the problem? It's like he believes his own series of events. He's an unreliable narrator. He called the Survivor 48 one of the best seasons ever, and it's like I get why you would say that with when you're Jeff Probst and it makes you cry, but when it comes to an audience perspective and the way it was crafted, I
Yes.
don't know.
And I could even say you saying Survivor 48 has one of the greatest moments of
Sure.
Survivor,
Yeah.
but to consider the season of a whole was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine to some. I mean, lots of people I know, people who are casuals, love the season. People who don't really follow Survivor that well. But unfortunately, when you're as in the weeds as I am, you care about things like editing, which isn't that a
The
sad?
edit of that. Oh my gosh, never mind. I won't get into the edit of 48. That's not what we're here to talk about.
No, we're here to talk about all of that and more because the editing of Survivor 48, especially counterbalanced with Survivor 49, which is interesting because there are two mystery contestants on Survivor 50. Yeah, quote unquote. We literally, me and Noah literally talked about who they are on the podcast
Okay,
last
that's what I
week.
was about.
So
Is that allowed?
yeah, we can talk about it. I don't know.
Okay.
There's no, but regardless. So that is my biggest concern when it comes to Survivor 49 is we just came off of 48, which was theoretically, if you just list off the series of events, you think, wow, that's a great season. Two duos going to the end together, Joe and Eva, but all those people,
Storytelling.
are coming back on 50, and you could tell that there was like some pressure to make them look good, like especially Joe.
Joe.
And I think that really impacted the season when it's like, why is nobody getting rid of this guy? Well, there were probably reasons, but we're just not showing his faults. And so that makes me concerned about the mystery two, whoever they may be, and whether or not that might also happen to them. So we'll see. But I kind of feel like it isn't just based on what I've seen from at least one of those contestants so far, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what like 48 has. We know that 48 has 3 people that are on 50.
Yeah.
And they showed all 3 of them in a very positive light, but specifically Joe, who we get to Final Tribal, and it turns out Joe's actually kind of not the most, like, he's respected as a person, but not necessarily as a game player at the end, which was shocking watching what we had watched.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there were definitely parallels to like Survivor 41 in that way, in my opinion, where it's like I know when I watched Survivor 41, I was shocked, and my entire family was shocked. They're like, "Wait, why didn't Xander didn't win, and it wasn't close? Like, what happened here?" With time, of course, I've realized the error of my past ways, and I now think that yeah, of course, Erica deserved to win, obviously, and I mean, it's not like I was surprised that Kyle won. In fact, kind of going into Final Tribal Council, it's like, yeah, Kyle's going to win. But it was more of a like, okay, but they still haven't explained why Joe isn't getting a single vote here and is the third person in this Final Tribal Council when like it or not, the entire game they've been saying, yeah, Joe is running the show and Eva's also there. And then at Final Tribal, it suddenly feels like it reverses. And I was always an Eva fan, so I was okay with that. But like, I was surprised by it.
Well, and that's what, like, I was watching, like, I enjoyed Joe and Eva. Even if I also enjoyed other characters, but I was like, I definitely, because of what we were told in the show, thought of Eva as the less respected by the jury of the two. Just because we so often were told that Joe was the greatest. And he seems lovely. And then, so I'm that with 49 in mind, there are 2 particular players that we are seeing a lot of when they haven't been, even in episodes where they actually haven't had that much to do with what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And
we can rip the Band-Aid off. It's fine. It's Rizzo and Suzanne.
It's Rizzo and Suzanne.
Yeah.
Suzanne, LOL. Savannah.
Yeah.
But we've seen, I'm more optimistic about Rizzo and Savannah.
Oh my God, who's Susanna? I haven't heard of this contestant. Is that Sophie's real name, the one with the E? Because I haven't seen much of her.
Though Savannah, we've seen like not necessarily negative, but like not neutral content for both of them.
Yeah.
And we've seen a more 3-dimensional thing than just look at these heroes.
Yeah. I
Which
hope that they learned from their mistake in 48 and they're like, oh, we still have to like do a fair edit. My bad. Sorry, my bad. My
yeah.
bad on that.
um but yeah, so I think that, but also the way that they're editing them does kind of make me think I am interested to see them in 50 and how they
Sure.
play with, you know,
Coach.
Coach and Rick Devens is,
Yeah.
Savannah. I almost said Susanna again.
That no, I mean like the thing about like RIZGOD baby is like he's dynamic. He kind of I feel like he's gonna be a source of energy in whatever season he's on.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is the Riz God, so he has that within him.
Eddie.
Savannah, I think, is interesting, especially as somebody in the world of journalism. It's interesting to see Savannah. She's very much like, yeah, she's a reporter. Like you can tell, like she doesn't deal with any of the BS. Like she is just here to play Survivor. Um, and I also appreciate and kind of surprised about how like it's new era Survivor. It's 2025, and she's basically just like a straight up villain, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. It's good. You don't see that very often. Like, if there were a heroes versus villains too, RSEGOD baby would probably be a hero, and
Hero.
Savannah would be a villain. Like
Yeah.
imagine her in 2001 on Survivor Australia. The entire country would think she was the worst person on
The
earth,
worst
which, you
person.
know, it shows how, society is better or whatever. But you know,
Well, and like, because like she's so anti Jawan just
yeah,
because like it started with like him being emotional and frustrated over like failing to make fire.
sure.
Like, oh my gosh, he sucks. He's so emotional. I don't want to work with him. On to like him mistake, like sure things that could be annoying, but like
Mhm.
the way she's talking about him is just like it's brutal.
Yeah. No, I kind of love that though.
Yeah.
The Uli tribe now split up, as I will show very quickly with this cool little graphic. It's very interesting because you have two different giant one-sided beefs going on that I love. So you have the aforementioned Savannah against Jawan. I don't think Jawan like knows. If he knows, he hasn't told us, but I don't think he's even aware that Savannah kind of hates him. And then on the other side, you have Sage, who is just absolutely against Shannon, and Shannon's just in her like God world or whatever she's doing. So like I don't know if she knows that Sage can't stand her either. And I love that. I love both of those a lot.
Same. I think it's so fun. Um, I think Jawan recognizes his position in the tribe. I don't think he
Yeah.
recognizes the animosity, if that's the right word.
No,
But
I think that's right. Jawan's position is very interesting because like I think about the last episode, Matt, classic white guy with dreads, gets voted out, and but first he goes to Jawan and is like, "Hey, you're on the bottom. Let's get together and let's make something happen. This is Survivor." And he goes back and he's like, "He was saying that I was on the bottom." Pshaw, as if, which is interesting to me because somebody has directly told him like, "Hey, you're on the bottom," and he's like, "Yeah, I'll tell my alliance." But also at the same time, it's like if you are in that position, is flipping the best thing to do, or is it better to stick with the group even though you're on the bottom?
well, and I think that what we've seen Juwan do time and time again is express insecurity with his position and then
Mm,
try to show his loyalty to improve
yes,
it.
for sure. Yeah.
He's expressed insecurity in multiple episodes about where he falls with the tribe. He hasn't said it exactly like that, but he's like, I feel like I see them walking off and talking, and people aren't doing that as much with me. I feel like, XYZ. And that we've seen him time and time again turn down opportunities to individually do something
Yeah.
in favor of uh, his tribe. I think an obvious example is the journey he went on,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then where he chose the tribe award instead of the individual. Um, but then also like with The Rock in this episode and keeping and basically saying I'm not going to work with someone who I get along well with and that would could possibly be good for me post merge. Like I'm going to stick with uh Hina.
Mhm.
But
I yeah, I think Jawan is interesting. The thing is, like, at this point he's gotten through 2 votes, but both of the votes were really extremely simple. You vote off Hina, and then you vote off the other Hina, and then you have all Uli and also Sophie with Nai. Super simple. But it's like Savannah keeps talking to the camera and is like, Jawan is still on the bottom. She's never like, yeah, no, Jawan, I trust him now. I think she said that briefly after the tribe disadvantage thing, where she was like, maybe he's not on the total bottom, which is kind of not that strong of a compliment, but you know.
it's like, yeah, maybe the person who said my name might be a little more on the bottom than you, who annoys me but did something for the tribe, but
Yeah,
barely.
yeah. But no, I love the dynamics of Uli. I really enjoy everybody on that tribe, especially since like Uli is giving so much. Like Uli is great, and then we have
All of them are
Hina,
characters.
and then we have Hina, who it's like I still don't know like any of you.
Sophie, I know that you didn't like the fruit reward.
Yeah. Uh, so I'll name off the things that I know. So Matt, white guy with dreads, worked at an airport, is actually smart. Shocking revelation. Also he's gone. You have Jason, pro Smash Brothers player, alternate on the season. He loves mentioning that. Very good at puzzles. Also gone. Didn't seem that good at strategy, in my opinion. You have Sophie with an E who hates everything, I think, or at least she hates food, the food that she's given, which is so valid, by the way, but probably not what you want to say on Survivor. Um, yeah, that's all I know about her. Um, oh God, MC has an advantage, is strong, got bullied in school for having muscles, which we should talk about that eventually. Um, Steven, who is a nerd, aerospace guy, and then I can't remember the last person's name right now.
Christina,
Christina. Okay, yeah. And she sits on the bench a lot, and she doesn't participate in a lot of the challenges.
her mom died.
Oh yes, that too. That's probably more
I should
important.
have laughed there, but like that's
Um,
one of the things we know.
Yes, yes, that is true. I'll be honest, I forgot about that. And that's what I know about Hina. So, you know, maybe a lot of that is my bad for kind of turning my brain off when they're doing the Hina stuff. But like,
Yeah, I think that with Hina, Steven's definitely the most three dimensional out of all of them. They've definitely made an effort to show what he's thinking strategically, what he's thinking socially.
yeah,
Um, but other than that, like, what do we know about anyone else in their strategic? We know that MC is tight with Steven, mostly because Steven's told us. Um,
yeah. It's interesting because like with Hina specifically, I feel like we know a decent amount about like where they all are strategically, especially like the past 2 episodes we learned about how Matt plays the game and how Jason plays the game and you know whatever else. And we also know a good amount of personal details about these contestants, such as MC and Christina, what they're going through. But at the same time, I feel like I don't really know what their personalities are, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I haven't seen that much intercommunication between people. I just kind of see them talking to the camera. It's like, yeah, I can kind of get what Steven is like when he's telling me about how um, he's on a tribe that he loves, but only to some extent. You know what I mean? And maybe that'll ramp up as the game continues. But that's what I hope. We'll see.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of, if I'm reading into edit, I feel like Steven is our strategic Hina that gets taken out because he's too much of a threat type of vibe.
Yeah, I totally get that for sure. Um, And then, we also have the original Kelly tribe, which of course is now just two people post Snakebite
Yes,
and also both outs, being Sophie with an I and Alex, who I like both of them.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah, Sophie's really grown on me. At first, I wasn't so sure, but like she's really grown on me the past two episodes. So I'm all in on her. Alex, Alex, we'll see. I mean, like, I feel like everybody likes him, but that could also be a problem. See Caleb 45, so I don't know.
I I don't think necessarily think he's going to be a Caleb 45 type vibe. I think
Mhm.
that he is going to just be a middle merge. Do you early middle merge? Do we remember that much? I really enjoyed pre merge,
Yeah.
but what we've seen with the swap tribe, which also he hasn't gotten tribal since then, so we've seen less of him. And
Hmm.
I feel like the last two episodes have shown us a little bit more of what his game looks like when they're not fighting
Sure.
for survival. And he hasn't like we see that he didn't notice as much as other people what Shannon was doing. We see that
Yeah.
he um but is social and getting along, but he's not doing too much, just letting people kind of come to him. But I think he'll do fine.
Yeah. No, I
It's
agree. I think especially now that he knows about what Shannon is doing, talking to people, that like he'll probably be able to find his niche. Um, But the whole Shannon situation is kind of what's to me bringing this season life because I find it so interesting. I really do. Um, I full
yes.
disclosure, I'm all aboard the Shannon train. I think
You
she's
like
awesome.
Shannon?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like her as a Survivor contestant. If
Okay.
I met her in real life, we might disagree on some things, but that's okay. Um,
I
no,
like
I
watching
like
her. I don't want her to win the battle between her and Sage, if that makes sense.
I it's interesting because I like Sage and Shannon a lot. I Sage once again wasn't so sure about her at first, but this past episode really made me like her. I really loved her reaction to the other people, like Steven going up to her and being like, "So Shannon's talking," and she's like, "Finally, you see it." That was great. Uh,
So, as someone who's had their facial expressions pointed out to them before,
really,
let me just say yes. I'm
interesting.
loving, loving watching like Sage's face.
Yeah,
Just when people say and do things, she does not hide a single thing,
yeah.
and it's just wonderful to watch. Even and she just reacts so genuinely and
Mhm.
authentically, which I think is really interesting when you counter that to Shannon.
I Yeah, well, that's why I said before I love their one-sided rivalry, if you can call it that, because Sage is basically just like I mean, she's being smart about it, but at every opportunity she can, she's being like, you can't trust her. You can't. She's
She's
you know
the worst. She straight up like she's a shark.
yeah, just
And
absolutely trying to run her over with a 20-ton truck about 15 billion times, and kind of succeeding. And then you have Shannon, who she thinks that she's very smart. She thinks that she is so smart, and hey, maybe in another world she would be, but you know, not in current year, not in 2025, not here on this season of Survivor. I think people are a little too accustomed to the game for that. So
yeah, well, and the thing that frustrates me with Shannon and why I don't necessarily enjoy it as much as some other people is I don't I don't love when you use religion as a part of your manipulation,
yeah, no, I understand that.
especially as a religious person, because that's so sacred and important to me.
Yeah,
Um, I can't see. I mean, I know people do it, and it's not good to
yeah,
twist that and manipulate people with that. And um, I kind of feel like that's something that you can talk about and share because it's a part of what you believe and who you are. But
hmm,
like to use that for the game, it feels yucky to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think it's obviously so it's a step beyond what the average Survivor contestant does for manipulation and tactics and things like that. The reason why I enjoy Shannon doing it is because she's so overt about it, and yet is so unlike every other contestant. Like you can make your comparisons to Coach or whatever, but like her backwards red hat, her shell necklace, and her like weird like flirtatious youth pastor vibe is like I love it.
Well,
It's
and
great.
also just how weird the religious things she says are also like
What was the line that she
Jesus
said?
gets high on God,
Yes, that's the one I was yeah.
which
That
is what?
that is instantly one of the best quotes in Survivor history, if you ask me. It's like
Like,
yeah, it's
it's
like
just
I don't know if Shannon is a youth pastor, was a youth pastor, wants to go into youth pasteurization, but like she has a future in it regardless. So
um I would say I don't know if you watched. You said you didn't pay much attention to the preseason stuff.
no, no, I didn't.
Can I share something about Shannon's preseason
Please,
that I think will make some of her game make more sense?
please.
She said that she used AI and she used AI and asked it about gurus, Jesus, and Survivor
See,
to shape her strategy.
this is what I'm saying. This is the point I'm making. I did not know about this, but like, yeah, this makes sense to me. This is Shannon to a T. And the little I know about her is like, she would use AI to try to spread her word of God, but in like a manipulative way. Like that checks out. So to reiterate, I don't necessarily think I get along with Shannon. I do think that I'd be a little bit like what's your deal?
Yeah,
But I love her on TV. I'm really like she's giving the season life to me right now.
I feel like Shannon's more of a villain than like Suzanne is like a
No, we
Savannah.
can call her Suzanne now. I mean,
Savannah
it's
is
fine.
like
Tomato,
a.
tomato.
So I have a friend named Savannah that looks. Gosh, I have a friend named Susanna that looks kind of like Savannah, and so that's why. Anyway, um, but while Savannah is like a caricature villain almost in a way with how like blunt and stuff. I feel
Yeah,
like it's like in Zootopia when you or in a movie where you find out that the sweet cuddly character is the bad guy all along. It's kind of what I feel like Shannon's villain. I feel like we're
that
getting
yeah.
a villain ramp up for what Shannon will.
It definitely
So but
does feel like two different types of villain. You know what I mean? Like Savannah, also known as Shanna, what I forgot what you
Susanna,
said.
it's fine. Don't
Susanna.
worry
Yeah,
about it.
I won't worry about it. But no, oh my god, I can't. Now I can't talk. It's infected me. Um, no, Savannah kind of reminds me of like I could see her on the challenge. It's like you took a villain on the challenge who's like, I can't believe she's saying this about me, or Jawan's saying this about me. He has got to go, or whatever. And it's like you just copied it over to Survivor, or at least as equivalent as you can. And then you have Shannon, who's just like she didn't come from any reality TV show. She's just like a strange oddity of an individual. And I'm not necessarily saying that as a negative. I'm just saying this is an interesting person to cast on TV, and I appreciate that for that alone. So, but is also a villain. It's both. So there you go. Um,
Yeah.
and those are really our two villains. I actually that's not true. I would argue that Rizzo, since he kind of co-conspires with Savannah, is sort of in this gray area. And then Nate, I think, I don't know if he's a villain, but he's certainly jumped up his manipulation game in recent episodes. So
Yes. I wouldn't necessarily put him in the villain category
yeah,
quite yet, but more so in the neutral.
sure,
Like you could tell that he is playing the game and willing to manipulate and things like that or twist things for his best outcome.
yeah,
But I wouldn't say that the way he's talking about people is villainous, or the way that he is going about the manipulation is villainous. I think that it's more so just like, I think it's more so just strategy, and also like being very selective in what he shares and doesn't share.
Yeah, no, that's true. He seems like a smart dude, and I thought what he did at the journey was very smart too. When he goes on this great journey, and his whole goal isn't even to keep his vote or anything. It's just to keep Jason from getting anything, which I thought was interesting. But he goes on this journey with MC, and they do this once again very challenge where you just carry giant sandbags and
Mm-hmm.
do that for a while, and then the gimmick is, hey, one person gets to run in the jungle to try to save their vote or get an extra vote or something, and the other person has to carry the rest. And Nate's just like, well, why do we have to listen to that? Let's just do everything except one, and then we can be friends and we can get along, and nobody has to be sad. Um, which is smart. I mean, that's what you should do. Like, I feel like journeys at their core are best as like bonding experiences. It's excursions with a new friend. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it was smart and mostly done in a very like clean, slick way. And
Yeah.
then he got a little sloppy at the end, but not like overly.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did. I did think it kind of undermined it. Now I don't know how much MC looked into it when he was like, "Come on back, the hourglass is almost empty," and then it
and
probably
did
had
they
like
show us the hourglass?
2 minutes left or something like that.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I don't know, but um, whatever. I mean, at the
he
end
got
of the
away
day,
with it. I think that for the most part, and I think that the main thing of that journey is the conversation that happened between the two
yeah,
was what was the best thing. And I think that him having those conversations, doing the small talk, led him to have the capital to say, hey, instead of you just going off and finding this advantage while I do these bags, those sandbags, why don't we make this a team thing where we're working together? And, you know, it kind of
I
built that
also
relationship to where that was a viable option for him to do.
Yeah, I also like how Nate explained how he was gonna sort of like get to know MC, which is like, I'm just gonna ask you for random fun facts. And like that's great because on two accounts, first of all, yeah, it builds a bond, but second of all, it's probably not that random of a question, all things considered, considering these people probably just have to share fun facts about themselves to like every casting director. So they probably, I'm sure everybody has one on lock. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but also it's like it's good to know if someone's going on Survivor, like how do you even make conversation in a situation like that where you're carrying giant sandbags? Like, oh, heavy, right? This is heavy, right? You agree with that? Let's have a conversation about
Oh,
how
I'm
heavy.
tired. I'm hungry.
I miss my family. Yeah, no, totally, for sure. Yeah,
Well, so bonded.
yeah. I will say, just in general, I did like the gimmick of the journey at the end, but this time around, I wasn't exactly feeling inspired by it necessarily, because it was, it's a menial task. These journeys where it's just like fill up a bucket of water for for a few hours or carry sandbags or whatever else. To me, it's like that just doesn't really make for interesting television. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah, I think that the journeys that are interesting are. I think this one was more interesting than the previous journey that Jawan with the baskets and
yeah,
Jake that they all went on. That was fine. But with this, I think this journey was better than that. But I think the journey Shine was like the one in 48 where it was like with the balls, and like it was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Star, Mitch, Camilla. Was there anyone else there?
No, I think it was just those three.
Yeah, but like how you played it impacted the other people. You could either help or hurt yourself to help or hurt other people, or you could gang up with on one. Like you could be more strategic, and it showed social dynamics along with things. Like I think that when there's a social element at play, that's when the journeys are at their best.
Yeah. No, I would totally agree with that because, like, once again, the perk of a journey is meeting somebody else, potentially establishing a connection or whatever else, between tribal lines or whatever else. Um, but at the end of the day, like, it's interesting to try to deconstruct this. That's a sneeze. Nope, I'm okay. No, I got it. Anyways, no, but the tribal lines, like deconstructing that, whether in a good way or a bad way, I think is how deconstruct the game, so to speak. Because otherwise, you go into your merge or mergatory, and everything is based on tribal lines, and it's like, yeah, if I'm a member of Hina and there hasn't been a tribe swap, then yeah, I'm probably going to want to get rid of an Uli or vice versa. And then you have Kelly or Sophie and Alex who are just kind of sitting there like, yeah, yeah, no, you two fight. I'll just sit over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so having journeys, I think, deconstructs that personally, but
Yes, I think that journeys in theory aren't bad. I do think that they are at their best when there's lots of choice and control that is given to the players.
Yeah.
I think this is a cold as ice take, but the Yahtzee journey was terrible. Like, those ones aren't fun, where it's just you have no control. You have to go on this journey. You didn't choose to go on this journey, and you have to go. And then when you get here, you have to just play a game a chance to lose your vote or keep your vote. Like those, not as fun. But like whenever it's you're choosing to go, you're choosing how you interact, how you play, like those types of things. I think those, and you are actually at the same place. I don't like the ones where they also go together and they all split off.
Yeah.
When they're together, and then they have to make interesting decisions. I think those are fun journeys.
Yeah, I think it says something about the just general like up and down nature of like how good the journeys are. That Nate came back and was like lying about it a little. Was like, yeah, we didn't have a chance to earn anything. I just lost my vote instantly and had to win it back. And everyone was like, wow, they did that, but like wasn't like not believing it. They were like, wow, yeah, I guess they would do that, And I don't think that's good. I don't like that. I mean, I think that like if you go on a journey, your tribe mates should have some expectation that like, yeah, you could win an advantage and not you could win a not disadvantage, which is basically what Nate's story was. So I don't know.
Yeah, again, like Nate's story is, hey, they made me do this thing so that I don't have a disadvantage, but I'm more exhausted than I was before. So either way, there's some type of disadvantage. I don't think that's but he also wasn't telling the truth. There was an opportunity for an advantage. So
Which, by the way, that opportunity for an advantage, just searching through the entire jungle for a scroll. Now I know that it's probably like a small segment of the island or whatever, but like it was like not that long, I don't think. I think it was just like a few minutes of hourglass time, so to speak, for for MC in this case to be able to look for this scroll in the jungle. And it's like, for an extra vote, is that really that huge deal? Or do we really care about that?
yeah, and that's what it's like. The advantages that you get on these journeys are typically not the most powerful advantages.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they're not nothing. But what the numbers are, what they are right now, and how many people are left in the game, they're not as strong. Um, like, if you're at the bottom of your tribe and you get an extra vote, you're still at the bottom of your tribe and you have 2 votes now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if you could steal a vote and you have an ally with you, then it can get interesting. But, like, if it is what we've seen a lot, like, they're really not that powerful until you're in a merge situation.
Yeah.
Where votes are close.
Yeah, no.
But,
I think about the nature of the extrovert, and I think through my brain, and I think about the history of Survivor, and the extrovert has been around for like almost 20 seasons now. I think its first season was Worlds Apart, season 30, and I think it's been used like well, like maybe a handful of times, like maybe not even a handful of times, take away a few numbers, maybe like twice or three times. I don't know. Um, so like, I don't know. I feel like extra votes just aren't like a big deal because you can't force a vote to happen. I feel like unless you have an idol and like you play it successfully, you can't force a vote to happen. You have to have people on your side. You know what I mean?
The only time I feel like extra votes are actually really powerful is if you're going into a merge situation where the numbers are close.
Yeah, I'd
Like
agree with that.
say Kelly went to tribal this week, and so one original Hina was down and one original Uli was down, and then they go merge the next episode. Then an extra vote can do something.
But at the same time,
That's yeah.
at the same time, even just thinking about that scenario, I'm like, well, there's an asterisk there because yeah, it's even on Hina and Uli, but like there's still two
There's
Kelly
two
there,
players. Yeah.
and they're probably going to decide where they go, and that'll still be one more vote than the extra vote
Then an extra vote.
provides.
Yeah.
So
But then you also there's also the wrinkle of like Sage and Shannon. Are they ever going to actually work together? And
yeah,
you know,
for sure. No, I
Jawan
mean
and Savannah. And but
it's Survivor's a complicated game, very interpersonal. I do wonder, like, is Sage gonna flip come the merge? Because I feel like that's kind of where we're going. Um,
I think that like even if she tries to work with her original tribe,
mhm.
the whole the whole Hina tribe is going to be throwing her under the bus hard
Yeah,
because they're going to be fighting to not be voted out, and their leverage is going to be, hey, she is not strong with y'all. She wanted to
yeah.
work with us. She wanted to vote out Shannon, to the umpteenth degree.
I definitely feel a lot of parallels between these Uli four and say the Reba four from Survivor 45, where it's like you have two men, two women together working in this tight group. They get split up after a swap, and the two people on the outs, one of them is this highly energetic black guy who one person has a lot of beef with for reasons, whether they're valid or not. In Sifu's case, it was very valid. In Jawan's case, it's a little less valid. And then the other girl is like, she's trying her best, but she just doesn't have the same social connections, J Maya and Sage. So I don't know. It didn't work out too well for Jawan, or it didn't work out too well for Sifu. I don't think it'll work out too well for Jawan. Sage, I'm slightly more optimistic about. If you had told me which person's going to survive longer right now, I'd probably say Sage over Shannon, but we'll see. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that I like to pay attention to the edit. I think that the edit is setting up a Shannon fall.
Yeah, I do too, for sure.
And I think that Sage is going to be a key piece in that. Whether Sage is the like one that knocks Shannon down, I think that she's going to play a significant role in it.
Yeah, for sure. Because they've basically been setting up Shannon for the past few episodes. They started really in episode one where they had her do her, yoga religious thing,
Mm-hmm.
her bit. And Savannah was like, you can't underestimate her. She's really strategic and she's smart, and I want to work with that. And that's gradually been building to the last episode, which I thought was really interesting after the swap, when she was basically trying to like force people to connect with her. She was just like going through 20 questions of how can I get myself to emotionally manipulate you, and got to
Mm-hmm.
Christina and was like, God. And so now she's really going the God route even harder than she did at Uli, uh, which I think, obviously unethical, obviously like not exactly uh, spiritually sound, some might say, but I think it's interesting. Just I think it's very obvious to everybody that it's like, yeah, she's trying to do this, except for Christina, who's buying it like a hook, line, and sinker. So
Yeah, and then when Christina had it pointed out, they were like, "Oh, yeah, I guess we don't like this."
yeah, but even still, like I felt like she was still like, well, but she wants to work with me and I really like her. So like how much should I really care about that? While for Alex, I think he's much more well, I don't know necessarily much about Christina because she hasn't gone to tribal council yet, but like Alex, who's been there a lot and has had to make strategic moves in the game, I think he could recognize like, yeah, that's probably bad that she's talking to everybody. So yeah.
Yes. He did. Yeah, I think that he was maybe disappointed because she had done the most strategic talk with him.
Hmm.
But I don't think that he was blind to. I think that once he was told, he was like, "Oh, yeah, I see this now."
Yeah.
Um,
I do like once again, I'm complimenting Shannon's gameplay. Even though it's bad, I like it because it's interesting. Um, I enjoyed the fact that a big part of her episode this time around was her being like, yeah, the best way to get into a survivor person's heart that isn't through God is through talking strategy with them. And I found that interesting because that worked to some extent. It was the only problem was she was doing it to everybody, parentheses except Sage, and then they all just talked about it and were able to gauge like, oh, Shannon's doing this to everybody.
yeah, well, she did it with everybody, and she did it with everybody too often.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, like Steven talked about, he's like, yeah, strategy is great, but first thing when I wake up, give me time to stretch, you know?
hmm
Like, there's a point where it becomes not just showing your cards, but also just like annoying and causing an issue to the social capital that she was trying so hard to build with these people, with finding these different niches, of bonding. So I think that she's done a lot to like. I think that if Shanna was doing the same thing just less,
yeah,
she would be a very good Survivor player.
yeah. No, I think that totally makes sense. I definitely like think maybe it's because she's trying to do the guru thing on ChatGPT or whatever else, but I think like she's trying to form a cult of sorts around her where it's like she wants everybody to be in her circle and everybody wants to be around her, like a Boston Rob or a Kim Spradlin type game, which I respect. I mean, I think that takes a lot of effort in doing, but I definitely think she's looking at it more from like an edited TV perspective of like, okay, in this 3 episode time, I saw Kim have all these strategic conversations. So I have to have this as much as I have to have strategic conversations as often as possible. I can't let people breathe and think about a world where I'm not in it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely think it's a little, well, more than a little. I think it's overbearing, especially since they're not even going to tribal council. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like
she's never been to tribal.
if it was purely just like conversations, none of them strategic, I think the person on the app would be Sage. But because Shannon is doing the most, I think that Sage is in a better position because she's being more normal about the game. Um, and is letting it come to her instead of Shannon, who's just kind of like trying to force a square peg into a circular hole or whatever
Mm-hmm.
else. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the only person I don't know if she's talked strategy with is Sophie. And I think that's just because we know nothing about Sophie.
So do you think production like hates Sophie? Do you think that's what's up?
Part of me is like, what did Sophie do? Or like, because like it, she she's still there, which she isn't
Yeah.
going to travel, but she's still there, which means that at some point she's going to have influence in a vote.
Yes.
Why? Like, so there must be some type of something that there's a reason we're not being shown any when other people, even the purpled players like Christina,
Mhm.
we are getting stuff other than you know a sassy comment at a challenge.
Yeah. Well, Sophie, I should admit, had a very great confessional in this episode where she was talking about how the tribe has chickens, and that's nice that they have chickens. And that was her input in the episode, was her saying that, and that was obviously essential to the storyline of the episode. But it's interesting to me because this does happen. This happens a lot in Survivor, where you have one, usually girl, who just doesn't get the screen time for the entire pre-merge. But it's like you look at what we know about Sophie, and it seems like nobody wants her out necessarily. It's not like anybody's saying, yeah, I'm willing to cut off Sophie so our group can go further, like a Jawan situation. Which tells me that, like, unless things really go wrong this next episode or whatever else, she's making the merge. And at some point, she is going to be doing something. And it's like, I think about other people in the new era, and it's like Genevieve for a while did not get any confessionals. It was like, who's Genevieve? But then she had her breakout episode in the pre-merge. I don't know. This might be the most purpled contestant that I've seen in the new era. I think she's up there.
Since
'cause, like,
41 at least. 41 had lots of purples, but
yeah, that's true. I always think of 41 and 42 sort of in their own vacuum. Those are like the COVID seasons to me.
yeah.
But no, that's a good point. Yeah, I
But
don't
definitely
know.
since 43, 44, like
Yeah,
very
I'm
purple.
trying to think, like Lauren Harp, I don't know, but she got like fourth place. She had a lot of confessionals. I don't even know.
Yeah, well, Lauren slowly became more of a character. There, she was not major at the beginning, but
Yeah, yeah,
they weren't going to tribal either, you know.
that's
Which,
true.
and I think that not going to tribal is a big part of the lack of content because
Oh, for
if
sure.
we were already seeing Sophie make these votes, then we would need to know semi why Sophie was voting a certain way.
Yeah, no, I mean the this is kind of going back to what I said at the beginning of, like, I need more from Hina because I don't know what motivates these people. Like MC, I feel like I got a decent amount of content. I agree with you that Steven is like probably the strategy person on the tribe, but I don't know. I didn't even remember Christina's name, as you may remember. And Sophie, we just talked about how she doesn't like bananas, and she was also mad at Jawan after he gave Hina the
Oh,
tribe
right,
disadvantage.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's still about it. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, the actual episode, of course, featured another loss by the new Hina tribe. Matt went home last episode, leaving Jason as the only other member of the original tribe. And I don't know how you felt, but I was like, "Yep, it's over for Jason." I felt it as soon as the challenge was over, which
Yeah.
is a little disappointing, but that's how it goes.
Yes, I actually think that while I think Steven had the most strategy, I think that we actually got a fair amount of Jason's personality throughout
Yeah.
the season. And so I was disappointed with Jason going home, but I knew it was coming. It was not a I was not shocked at all.
Yeah.
I thought for like maybe 2 seconds, it's like maybe Savannah is gonna vote for Jawan.
Yeah.
And then I thought maybe Jason will play a shot in the dark. You know, there were some ways where there could have been a little bit more intrigue, but it was honestly very predictable, um,
Mhm.
and which I think shows to how the Jawan did a good job getting him to vote for Rizzo and not
Yeah.
play a shot in the dark. But there was just like, okay, well, unless a shot in the dark hits, we know what's happening. Um,
Yeah.
the editors really tried to make it interesting with all of the Jawan stuff, but it was not enough
Yeah.
to really do anything for this vote. It's more so set up for future.
Yeah. I mean, I think about the context of like what happened in the actual like tribe, and it's such an easy layout on paper to vote out Hina, like originally Hina. It's ridiculous with the four Uli, Sophie, who's kind of there. I mean, she's just kind of there right now. I appreciate her being there, but at the moment, she's just kind of there. And then you have Matt and Jason, and frankly, I'm surprised that they didn't get rid of Jason last episode. I would have gotten rid of Jason last episode because he said directly to Savannah, "Yeah, I kind of want to work with my old tribe. Sorry,"
Yeah.
which, you know,
I think that if Jason would have picked one of the few strategies that he went with, he would have done better.
Yeah.
But he tried to backtrack this episode of things that he said last episode. He tried to do two things, tried to play two ways last episode when he should have tried to play one. I think that if Jason would have picked Elaine, he would have increased his odds. I don't think it would have been an easy battle, but I think
Yeah.
it would have increased his odds a little bit. I do think that he should have played a shot in the dark.
Yeah, that was kind of okay. So I have to complain. I have to. Jason, what are you doing? I thought Jason, the first few episodes when he wasn't going to tribal council, I was like, this dude is so smart. This guy does puzzles. He knows things. Like this guy's looking good. But the past two episodes, I've been like, okay, this guy does not know how to play Survivor. Because, first of all, as previously mentioned, he goes to Savannah, and Savannah's like, so you want to work together? And he's like, no, not really. Which is, I know I
when
just
you're in the
mentioned this.
minority.
You're in the minority. And it's like, saying you don't want to work with somebody isn't like some noble thing. Like, especially to Savannah, who, as previously mentioned, has a villainous quality to her. She's not going to be like, yeah, no, so true, dude. Like, you do you. We'll keep you to the merge. I want you to get back with your friends, you know?
So y'all can vote against me. Yeah,
that was crazy. And then also, Jason wasn't like scrambling. He was just kind of being like, yeah, whatever happens, happens. Like, I'd really appreciate you if you kept me around, but hey, I understand the situation. Matt did the same thing. Matt was also at the mat. Matt at the mat. Matt at the mat was like, yeah, I see the situation, and it's like it would be really easy for Uli to get rid of one of me or Jason. Like, it would be so easy, and I just have to hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So Matt did a lot more scrambling than Jason.
Yeah.
Matt tried as well to not lose numbers. I don't think, obviously, he wasn't successful in doing that. Because I think that he pitched to the wrong. Actually, I don't think there was a right member for him to pitch to, but like I appreciated the struggle, and you could see him trying. Even though I disagree with his take on Sandra.
I thought he was saying Xander the whole episode because just the way he was talking. I thought he was saying, I don't appreciate how Xander plays the game, or I was trying to do his voice. I failed. But I was like, why Xander? That's so specific.
Xander from, if you would have told me before we started this podcast that Xander from Survivor 41 would come up multiple times.
That's the magic of podcasting. You never know where the conversation's going to go. But yeah, my other thing about Jason, because I'm still not done complaining, by the way, is in this episode, Jason, as you mentioned, goes back and he's like, yeah, no, I'll work with you. I could be the bridge between you and Hina. I could be like the in between. And it's like, I think about hit show The Office in situations like this, because the whole point of The Office is that The Office, the titular Dunder Mifflin, is a useless company because all they are is a middleman between paper and customers, when the people who make the paper could also sell to the customers if they really wanted to. So it's like, that's kind of what Jason was in the game of Survivor. He was Dunder Mifflin. He's kind of useless in the way that he was pitching himself, because you know who could be a middleman to talk to Hina is, I don't know, Savannah, if she wanted to talk to Hina.
Yeah, it's like, we'll let you keep all those relationships and keep us from making them.
Yeah.
While also, if anyone needs the middleman, it's not people
Uli.
in the majority.
Yeah. That I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Hina's down in numbers. Like, if they want to get to the merge and pick them off, they can. Like, they don't need Hina.
Yeah. No, so I was kind of disappointed with Jason in that way, just with the way you played it. Now, to be fair, Was there an out? Not really. Parentheses, unless you play your shot in the dark, which he should have either time, really, if you ask. Oh, that was the other thing. I was thinking there's one other thing I'm not complaining about, and here it is. He said last episode to everybody that, hey, I'm going to play my shot in the dark because I don't want to take the chance. I'm just going to play it, and like, we're going to do that, and I'm going to play my shot in the dark. And then he didn't do it. And it's like, if I'm Savannah, and this guy is talking all about I'm so loyal to my tribe, you have no idea, and like I'm so predictable, I'm going back to my tribe and I'm totally like linking back up with them, and you're like, okay, at least I know what he's doing, and then he doesn't do the thing he's saying. It's like, all right, well now I like double can't trust you, and it's like, especially why would you want to keep him?
So I actually thought him saying he was going to play a shot in the dark and then not playing it was good for last week.
Mm,
If the plan was to go into this vote and play your shot in the dark, because now
sure.
you've saved it. You got yourself out of being out of that sticky situation where it would have been a 50-50 between the two of you, and you made it easier to lean to voting for Matt because shot in the dark is a little scary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then because you saw your name written down, you play the shot in the dark tonight.
Yeah, it was
You
written
hope it
down by
hits.
3 people.
You hope it hits.
Yeah.
And that was his out. I
Mhm.
think that he was setting himself up last week to have the semi out of the shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And then he didn't play a shot in the dark. And
I
it's like,
I just think like, if shot in the dark is what we're talking about, and it's like you have that. I mentioned it in when I was talking about Survivor 48. Like, the interesting thing about the shot in the dark is it is an advantage that everybody has, and it is a bargaining chip that everybody has. So I like that in previous seasons when people would be like, "I'm giving you my shot in the dark as a symbol of trust because so and so blah blah blah." And if I'm Savannah, and let's say you're Jason and you've given me the shot in the dark, it's like, okay, well, I know that he can't play his shot in the dark, and I know that he's leaving his fate up to me in the game. That is a sign of trust. Meanwhile, say Matt or Jawan or whoever else is running around doing things I don't like, and they still have their shot in the dark, and they're not trying to work with me. Who would I rather keep in the game? I think the answer would be Jason. Um, but he didn't do that, and instead was just trying to be like, yeah, no, I'll totally play it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So whatever.
yeah.
Whatever. Also, like nobody uses shot in the darks past the pre-merge anyway. At least past the
Yeah.
mergatory. So
I think that at a certain point, your vote becomes more valuable than the 1 in 6 shot.
yeah, frankly, I think that especially with these 3-person tribes, like you could make an argument with this 2-person tribe thing. It's like your vote is always going to be more important than your shot in the dark, unless it's like really,
Dire.
really, really obvious you're going to go home. So it's like if I were on Survivor, I would absolutely use my shot in the dark as a bargaining chip. Probably on episode 1. That's probably how I would make my final 2 deal. Is I would be like, or it would be great. Let's give each other our shot in the darks. That's a great way to build trust right there, and it's a
Well,
tangible, physical way to do it too.
yes. Um, I think that the shot in the dark is most like the only time it's really valuable to you, other than a bargaining chip and a social, thing, is in
Mhm.
a situation like Jason was in.
Yeah,
Like this is the time when you play your shot in the dark.
yeah. I would love to know more about the proposed deal that Jawan made to like, yeah, we're gonna totally blindside
Rizzo.
RIZGOD baby, because I feel like we didn't really see it and understand what it was supposed to be. I assume it involved Sophie and one other person, but was that Nate? Was that Savannah? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and to get him to not play a shot in the dark, when we saw him at the start of the episode talk about how the trust will not be built back because they wrote his name down, like it had to have been a good pitch, or at least had a believable pitch, I should say.
Maybe, yeah. I
But
don't know.
like, I don't know.
J- Jason didn't strike me, whether through desperation or through ambivalence. He didn't strike me as a guy who really like got how bad of a situation he was, or at least didn't care that much. Part of me felt like he might have given up after last episode, or maybe after they lost, and was like, "Yeah, I'm gone." Which is sad and depressing, but I guess that happens. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think about like the rest of the tribe though. I think about like Sophie's position or Juwan's positioning, who I kind of talked about earlier, and it's like to me, I think Sophie's in a great spot. I think Juwan's in kind of a terrible spot, but it's for like similar reasons because Jawan is in a situation where he is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's not like he certainly can't flip anymore, but let's assume he makes it to the merger, the mergatory, or whatever. He can't really flip on his tribe because if he flips to Hina, he'll still be on the bottom. And if he sticks with Uli, he'll still be on the bottom. With Sophie, it's like she is she has basically no threat level to her right now, as all these people on all these new era seasons that are awful through the pre-merge and go down to 3 or 2 people, they tend to rise up later in the season. Maybe it's because of experience, maybe not, but like I think Sophie's in a great spot because I think everybody will be willing to work with her and nobody's going to be like, who we have to get rid of right now? Sophie. So
Yeah, Sophie's going to be able to build the relationships and have numbers when people don't see that Sophie has numbers.
yeah. Yeah, and meanwhile, Jawan, I think, is much more likely to either be a mergatory boot or, if we do the split tribal council this season, be a split tribal council victim. So we'll have to see about that. I wanted to ask you because, we didn't really get into the whole season in general, but I do want to ask you about this. We mentioned briefly Jake's snake fight before.
Yes.
What did you think about that?
The situation?
Yeah, the situation, the going inside the hospital or whatever it was.
I have multiple thoughts.
I would love to hear them.
One being, why are they asking if he's breathing? They know they have radios. That kind of felt, or they should have radio.
I have insider information on this. So the reason why they asked that when he was brought into the medical thing is because the walkie-talkies like ran out of battery or something. So they didn't know his status when he was on the boat being transferred. And so they had no way to know like on a scale of living to dead where he was.
Oh, okay. See, so that's where my brain was like, that feels like they were just playing up like the situation because I'm like, they have walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
But I think it was interesting. I think it felt a little. There are moments where I was like, this feels expletive, but it's also reality TV, and you sign up for that.
Yeah.
I also think that there needs to, I was like, man, if it took them 45 minutes to get here, there probably needs to be medical personnel closer.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. But yeah, I mean, I guess there were medical personnel.
There was like a safety person, but like a.
I don't know. It was. Really,
I also. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I asked you. Sorry.
I also think that going in there, it was nice to sort of see like that they do have like an actual place that they'll take people.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't know how much it added to see the whole process. I think that seeing that he got there and they goes in and then maybe have Jeff explain a little bit to us outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't go back in. Don't show us anything else until the decision is like, hey, we're pulling you conversation. Because I don't know how fun or not it's not fun how beneficial it was to watch all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that it also took a long time Um,
Yeah.
I I think that for it being a dry bite, I also with it being a dry bite, I understand like there's still risk involved.
Hmm.
Um, but I honestly feel like that would should have been I feel like more of a situation where it's like, do you want to go back in? Do you feel comfortable? Versus a we have to pull you. But I also am not a medical professional, so
Yeah. No, I think those points are really interesting. I think like the thing that you said that fascinates me the most basically comes down to like, yeah, we took a look inside, but how much of the episode should have been dedicated to this? Because, I talk to casual fans all the time, and I've heard like two different arguments. I've heard people such as yourself be like, yeah, it was kind of weird, and like, why did they do this and why did they do this? And then other people be like, why wasn't that the entire episode? Because why did we have a challenge after it? And why did we have this snake bite that happened? And then they said, get in the water. you know?
yes, that was weird. That was weird.
Yeah.
um,
I felt like it was the type of thing where it's like, yeah, you can say that, yeah, the snake bite doesn't, this snake does not bite people. It's never happened. I've never met anybody. But
but it just did.
when you pull the guy from the game and are like, by the way, snake bite, he's probably not going to die though. So like, don't worry that much. But like, we don't really know. By the way, get to swimming. It's like, it makes
It
sense
felt
why
uncomfortable.
Sophie and Alex and Jeremiah lost because I might be thinking about my friend who is possibly dying right now. Um, just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, and I think that it was a very weird. Like I think that the impact of it was I feel like more psychological than it was physical, just based on what we saw.
Yeah.
Like at least on the other contestants. Um, the I think that the production schedule kind of demanded that they continue to the challenge.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with that.
but it was such an awkward moment.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um, and then oh my gosh, you know another editing thing I hated was
Tell
that
me.
right after all this, it jumps to the like transition to commercial, and the thing they did to do that was the this could be you apply for Survivor.
Survivor's tough. You never know what you'll get medevaced by, but if you want that thrill, apply to be on Survivor.
Apply. And like as someone who has filled out an application for Survivor,
Hmm.
that would not be the apply for Survivor thing that would get me.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going on the beach anymore. You won't find me going anywhere near the beach. If I know that I can get bitten by the foot by a snake, well, I don't know what Jake was doing. I think he was like, I don't know if he was, throwing the snake
Hey,
around
snake, come here.
or whatever, but like, look, if I see any type of creature on the beach, look, I don't know if there are poisonous crabs out there or venomous crabs. I'm staying away. Like, no thanks. I'll stay in the shelter and I'll be in the fetal position if you need me.
Yeah, is that an ant or an extra poisonous ant? I'm not going near it.
It's a great question. Well, that's the thing is they had the Survivor Handbook. I don't know if that was just on ready, like you can be reading the Survivor Handbook whenever, but it's like if I'm going on Survivor, I'm going to familiarize myself with the creatures that can kill me, I think.
Yeah, that's what I would be so paranoid. So I already a little bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to bugs.
Sure, yeah. Me as well. Yeah.
And so like I would want to know that handbook in and out and know like what type of area this thing sleeps in and all that kind of stuff like to like steer clear like of the possibility. And so
Yeah.
I wonder how Jake ended up in the situation because it's apparently not an aggressive snake based on
Yeah.
what people have said. So I'm like,
Is
how
it
does
nobody
this
else got
come
bitten by
about?
it, like ever?
Not to blame Jake, but
Yeah. I felt like, yeah, just in general, it was a super interesting episode just through all the concepts, through, let's take a peek inside what Survivor is really like, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like it's really set the stage for the rest of the season in the sense of like, I think if Jake was still there, Kelly might not have lost that challenge, and where would we be now with more even tribes 3 ways across, because right now it feels like, regardless of whether it's just editing or not, it feels like it's like an Uli like sweep right now, and it's like Hina's got to step up their game or whatever else.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if the final four ends up being uh, Rizzo, Nate, Savannah, and Sophie or
Yeah,
Alex interchangeable, like one of the two of them, probably
totally.
Sophie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, once again, it gives me Survivor 45 vibes of like, Emily Flippin, I think, got sixth place, but like she got near the end. And, that season was actually a little more like not as Read Before dominant as it feels like, but like still at the end it was Dee and Austin and Julie as three of the final five. So I feel like that's sort of where we're going. I could see Steven fulfilling sort of like a Jake-ish role. Um, you know, guy at the
Yeah.
bottom who's really trying, but we'll see.
And scripts by lots of times, and then
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Let me ask you.
Sophie, fallen angel type vibe. Yeah,
Yeah. Do you have a winner pick right now?
I do.
Okay.
I do think it is Savannah.
Yeah. Um, I agree with that. I mean, the thing is, I picked Savannah as my winner pick because she's a journalist and we got to stick together. But I mean, I think honestly, my Savannah stocks have fallen a little bit recently because like she gets a lot of confessionals, obviously, but my Sophie stocks are way up. I'm sort of thinking Sophie's got the best chance right now, honestly.
So if it wasn't for 50, I probably would be higher on Sophie.
Sure.
Um, but if you look at I don't know if you've seen the spoiled like tribe breakdown for 50.
Yeah, I know where you're going here.
Yeah.
There's definitely, reason to
And
think that Savannah has a chance for sure.
yes. And so for those reasons, I kind of think that there's just outside of the game hints that point to Savannah, along with a strong edit that we've had thus far.
Yeah,
Even if it's a villainous edit, it is, you can't ignore Savannah, even when, honestly, if you look at what's actually going on, it looks like Nate's the one actually calling the shots.
yeah, yeah,
It's being told to us through Savannah's point of view.
yeah. No, you're totally right. And that's something I try to read into the edit in the sense of like who is getting confessionals and stuff, but I
Mhm.
often don't really think about like why is this person getting a confessional even though Uli is like not important in this episode or they're not doing anything. Like why is this
Mhm.
person being the voice of like Jawan's going through my bag again instead of like, Jawan or whatever. Um I usually don't think about that, not because like I don't care. I just didn't really think about that from like a perspective of reading into the edit until recently, until this season really. Um, but I mean, it's true. It's like if you look at that stuff, it's like who has the confessionals? It's Savannah, it's Rizzo, it's Nate to some extent, it's maybe Steven, maybe Sophie, maybe Alex.
Well, and that's what I like to look at, like whose story are we being told?
Yeah,
And the overarching story that the season is trying to paint. And it's while there's like more than just one main character, we are getting shown certain people's perspective and point of view more than others, which is why, like, that's why I think Steven is probably the Hina that makes it the furthest, or at least has the most impact,
yeah, yeah,
um, because of the edit. Um, and that's why I honestly, while I enjoyed Jason, I never really had him as a winner consideration because he's had a couple episodes where he had 0 to 1 confessional,
yeah.
and it's been a long time since we've had a winner with no confessionals in an episode.
Yeah, no, that's true, and especially with these hour and a half episodes now, um, you should really contestants should have a confessional an episode, like in a perfect world. But of course, that's not really realistic. And yeah, not every contestant's going to be as interesting as other ones,
Right.
So it, yeah,
and
it
is
makes
relevant
sense.
to the winning story. Like you can be an important player for certain people, but if you're not an important player in the winner's story, you're not going to get as much attention.
That's true. That's very true. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I like Sophie though, because I feel like she's been the entire season has basically been her story to this point. She's
Yes.
gone to every tribal council, has found a way through, has developed good connections. That's what I like about it. Savannah, I feel like maybe it's just the villainous thing, and I feel like heroes win way more often
Win.
than villains. But
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
it's made me a little skeptical.
Sophie could be. Sophie could be getting a Denise-esque edit.
That's what I've been thinking. Yeah, because
And a Denise-esque type story of I went to every tribal and I survived
mm-hmm.
and I made the connections I needed to make and the strategic plays I needed to make. I would, I don't think that Alex is getting quiet the Malcolm edit,
Yeah,
but I think Sophie is the. They're both enjoyable. I like both of them as being cast, but I think that Sophie's the stronger player based on what
yeah,
we're seeing. Um, I
yeah,
am high on Sophie, um, but like I said, I think there's a lot of clues that could lead to um, Savannah. Savannah, I also um, was my preseason winner pick, so it helps my
mm,
fantasy league a little bit.
yeah.
uh,
I mean, that's all right. That's okay.
I'm also
Um,
very high on Nate.
yeah, no, Nate. I think Nate, Savannah, Sophie would probably be my top three right now.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, Nate, like another thing, once again, I try not to read too much into the edit, like extremely, but I think about who are the people who are providing strategic confessionals, and it's like Nate has
Right.
really done that a lot recently, and it's working too. And it's like I think about that, and it's like that's sort of the trait of a winner. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah, when they're only showing us the smartest things the person's doing,
Hmm.
that's a good sign
Pretty
for
good,
you.
pretty good.
And like
Yeah,
when they're mostly showing you the your weak moments, like they are with Jawan, um,
it's only
it
that time.
doesn't point to you being a winner. They have showed him do smart strategic things, but it not having fruit as well. So like it's not all negative for Jawan, but it's not. Plus, like I think that his thing with he didn't want to go on the journey, but he also didn't want Jason to go on the journey in the way that he set that up was interesting and smart, and they painted it as smart. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
All right.
I wonder if he told his tribe about that after the fact because I think that
Yeah,
would
that's a
be
good
good to know
question.
their thoughts.
I don't know. That would be interesting to find out. All right, one more question, and I'm bringing back up the board for this one because
Ooh,
I know that we are doing I believe, three tribes this next episode. I will admit I don't know the tribe breakdown.
oh, I don't
Maybe
either.
I don't really care,
I
but
once we get into the season, I try to avoid spoilers.
yeah, same here. But I do want to ask if you had to place your bets, who goes home next episode?
So it's really easy if you leave it tribe as is,
Yeah,
as they are. On Kelly, it's Shannon. On Hina, it's Jawan.
yeah,
And I do think that however they break up, that with them being in the overall majority, but
hmm,
also having some infighting, I think that one of them could be the sacrifice to appease the original Hina.
yeah.
So I
I can
do think
totally
that it
see
is
that.
going to be Shannon or Jawan going out next.
Yeah. No, I really like that take. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, especially when you don't know the tribe breakdown, I think the best way to think about that is like who has the greatest chance, the greatest odds of being screwed over by a swap. And I think the answer to that is probably Jawan. So I would say Jawan. Because the thing about Shannon is like the problem that she has right now, and the reason why she's in a bad spot right now with the current tribe is she's not with anybody that she's actually working with in the game. But except she kind of is,
Christina.
because she was able to make connections with Christina. But like in terms of her original alliance, her alliance of three, she's with nobody like that. She got stuck with Sage, who she wasn't close with, and is kind of trying to force this like we're together on the bottom type thing, which Sage does not buy. But I think in the event of a swap to three, if she gets together with Rizzo or whatever, they're going to work together, and um, I think that'll be good for her. I don't think Jawan has any allies though, which is the
Not a
problem for
single
him.
one.
So
Yeah.
I think it's only a matter of time for him.
I actually do think that I don't think that Jawan was ever going to get into the good graces with his tribe. I think that he probably would have been better off trying to flip with do something with the two Hina and Sophie. I
Yeah.
think that that would have gained him more allies long term than what he did. But I also don't think that that would have been an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I think the thing that hurts Jawan's game the most has honestly been, everybody looks for idols, right? And everybody says, oh, well, I'm looking for wood when they're also looking for idols. But I think the way Jawan did it was so like easy to make him a scapegoat, because not only was he doing it when there was already an alliance being formed, he was doing that with maybe the most vocal member of the tribe stuff in Savannah. And it's like, we've seen enough in Savannah to know that she will push for what she wants. And if you're actively sliding against her, whether intentionally or unintentionally,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to put your game in a bad spot.
Yeah, I would say if there's already a slight personality, rift, at
Yeah.
least one sided, it does not take much to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. I guess one more question. Anything else on your mind, Addie?
Not regarding Survivor.
Not regarding Survivor. Okay. Are you watching other reality shows right now? There's a lot out right now.
Okay, so I'm an international Traitors fan. I think that the international versions are more fun than the US, like all of those things. So I've been watching Traitors Ireland, which I'm enjoying a lot, and I've watched the first episode of Traitors Canada.
Me too. Yeah, I just
I
watched it
enjoyed
last
it.
night. Pretty good. I like if you haven't seen the first episode of Traitors Canada, let me tell you, a very fun twist in the first episode.
Yes, I liked one more than the other.
Yeah.
But I actually liked two. There was three major twists. I liked two of them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I liked one of them medium amount.
All right. Well, we've all gone this far. Let's just talk about it. So the ones that I liked the fact that they tapped all the faithful shoulders a lot.
Yes.
Really put it on its head. And then like one of the people, I forget who, was able to distill like, oh yeah, no, she might be a traitor because she took a sip of water because she thought she was a faithful. I love that. Like obviously it's the first episode of the Traitors, so it all means nothing, but I love that.
It also levels the playing field a lot because so much of the first vote is how people react to being tapped.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever everyone except for two people is going to have a little bit of a reaction or be trying to play away, it evens it out a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
And it adds such an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. And then the other one, I can't remember what the third twist you're talking about is, but the one that was the big twist at the end was the two people the traitors chose to be traitors. One of them has to become a traitor and the other has to die. Which I thought was I think I like it. I like it as a let's try this out sort of thing.
Yeah. So the twist I like was the fact that the faithfuls get a financial incentive to vote out traitors.
Yes.
Which helps play against the traitor angel strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because voting out traitors is better TV. Like,
for sure.
It's not the smartest gameplay, like strategy, but it is better TV.
Yeah.
And Traitors is about good TV.
Yeah. My thing about that was like $10,000, a lot of money. I could buy a lot of things with $10,000. It's true. However, I don't I don't know if that's enough incentive a lot of the time. Like,
Well, you're thinking if it's 10,000 per trader and you get a lot of traders, that could be significant.
but at the same time, it's $10,000 split among everybody, and it's like at the end of the day, that's still less money than if you win the game. So
right. I would not change the way I play, but I think there are people that will.
yeah,
And I think that will add some interesting dynamic. And I think that it helps fix one of the major complaints that a lot of people have had, which is that there's no real incentive to vote out a trader.
sure,
Because they just get to recruit or blackmail.
yeah,
I like that twist.
yeah.
I am mixed on the twist at the end with the.
I am too. Yeah,
I think that they should know. I think that the traitor should have known that one would be murdered and one would become a traitor.
they should have. They kind of told them pretty explicitly in the episode, in its own way, in a riddle way, but still.
Yeah, but they should have more explicitly known because I think that they would have made different choices.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking you are guaranteeing that you're getting rid of two big characters when you do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, yes, there's a potential for a big character to go out as the first murder, but there's also a potential for a quiet person to go out. So you give yourself more options as like production and your entertainment factor whenever you allow for a murder to happen by choice versus them thinking that they're recruiting a traitor.
Well, I think about it from the perspective of the Traitors US, which is really all I know. And I feel like for all the seasons of the Traitors US that have just been celebrities or reality TV personalities, it's always a big character is the first one to be murdered. Always. So I don't think it's that different because I think about it like the last one was Dorinda, who was a big character, at least at the reunion. Johnny Bananas was the season before that. Certainly a character, as he will be the first to tell you. And then it was, I think Ezra was, that might have been season 1, or maybe that was season 2. But these are all big characters, so I don't think it's that different from.
If you watch some of the other versions, there's been different ones where they've had the strategy of this person's so quiet no one will understand why they were murdered, and you've had some of the more boring people go out soon. So that's why I've seen every English speaking version of Traitors.
Wow. Impressive.
That I've been able to get my hands on. There's a few that I haven't. This is my first season of Canada that I'm watching because I didn't know how to use the Patron stuff until recently.
Yeah, for RHAP.
For RHAP, yes. But now that I know.
Yeah.
But I've seen lots of Traitors, and so there's there have been seasons where a quiet, this will confuse them type of thing person goes out first.
Yeah.
It depends on what the Traitors are trying to do with their murder, and it's also like the first murder, it's just kind of a lot of times more random. But I do think that I do think it would be fun if they were told one person will be murdered, one will become a traitor with you, and then the two people that get there had to play some sort of like game or something to figure out which one would be the murdered one and which one would be the recruited traitor. Yeah. I think that would have honestly been more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. Or just have them pick. I think they just say, hey, pick one person. Y'all will meet together and murder someone.
Yeah.
I don't know. And part of it might just be that I want Venus to be in the game.
Sure.
As long as possible. And so now that I'm like, if we lose Venus because of this, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you anything else on your mind going on?
Even if the season's not the most interesting season of Survivor, it's Survivor, and it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I'm watching. So, yeah. Thanks for letting me talk with you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you to everybody for listening / watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will keep doing this. More of the podcast. It's going to happen. So thank you very much for joining. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.